Ah, that's better. Hello. Everybody's suitably chilled. It's getting chilly here, where I am. How is it where you are? Oh, people in the live chat already. Hello, I'm not even here. Well, not here officially. I'm here, but I'm not here. Where am I? There I am. I say hello. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one of these, whatever these actually are. No official title, no official format, no shape, no sense or reason ever guaranteed. Just some conversation and some company for however long it holds up. No, not that. Just it. Generally, the Hooniverse, how much more of me, it, and you can take. So chill out, chill down, or chill up. There's no hard or fast rules to the chill, as I've come to understand. But yeah, we'll cover some ground, I'm certain, from where we are looking right up there. Just as Tom, that's it. I was going to say navel gazing. He's sort of looking down, isn't he, across his body. I wonder what he's thinking, or what he was dreaming about. It's probably best we don't know, isn't it? Eddie met Lala by that point. So yes, it's a bit parky out. Been mooching through my hats to work out whether any of these are necessary yet. Let me know how you're getting on, what you're wearing, in the nicest possible way. I dig myself a hole, don't I, all the time, and drop some comments too while we're at it. I'm sure we'll get there. And people are confused already. People are very confused, including Funky, who I didn't think Funky ever got confused. He's too funky. Hello, everyone. What's a chill stream? It's for us to know, for you to find out. Funky, stay exactly where you are. Fasten something across your head if you think it'll help. And join me in this sort of lash-up TARDIS that I've got here, tucked away in the corners. Just like the Master's TARDIS was inside the Doctor's in Logopolis. Do you remember that? This one is tucked away in the Type 40 for me to sort of jump around my own time streaming, rattle some memories loose, battle off any kind of sort of premature senility, which may be creeping up on me as time shifts on. And yeah, God, blimey, can you believe it? November. What's that about? What's that about? Okay, so we've got some comments to get into, and I've got a drink to hand too. Yeah, cheers. And let's see what we can cover between us. I want to know how you've been in the last few days. How was your Halloween? How has the news of the last week or so, how's it settling with you? Because that sort of reared up at us, didn't it? Less than a week ago, believe it or not. Time does fly. Yeah, and yeah, let's see where you are after 6, coming up to 7 days with that, and whatever else we cover. So yes, we've got some comments to get to. Let's sort those out, hit this, and have a quick blast of okay, so we get together to compare notes on where we are exactly, what we've got, and where best to sort of jam it to help us through, solve the problems of if not the everyday, then certainly today, the here and now. All things Doctor Who, he says, hopefully. So everybody who's here so far, thank you so much. So we can see who's with us, who's joined me for this voyage, for this pub lunch. Okay, who's here? The Zero Room says a 9 a.m. live stream. Well, this is a welcome surprise. Speak for yourself. It's not 9 a.m. here. It's 8 a.m. where Cliff is. On the drive to work with Cliff Maxwell. Happy to keep you company, my friend. Have a good day. Gary Akers is also up as well. I'm happy to see he's there too. Good to see you, Gary. Rose is here too, Rose Kirby. Hello, good morning, American friends. Good afternoon to European, UK friends. Holistic hello. And Deep Thought 42 says, hi everyone from Tasmania, Australia. 1 a.m. here. I'm up late. Warmer weather here in the late spring. So we're doing the weather. We're doing the time check. That's something we don't usually do. Yeah. People going out for a, depending on where you are, I suppose you might be going out around the park for a little while, run around. We can keep you company there too, can't we? Between us, we've got it all covered. So yeah, what's going on? If you're new, we've had a lot of new subscribers lately, and this is sort of the last couple of months of the year, isn't it? To take us right the way till Christmas, and we've been moving the furniture around a little here at Type 40 lately, and I've sort of got caught up in that as well. So I'm going to pop up here and there with these extra conversations and some communication with you in the live chat with the community. And yeah, you can see what's on my mind. I can catch up with what's on yours, and we'll see where we are. We'll see where we are after all of that. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, so who am I? Who am I? If you don't know, now it depends on who you ask. Really, I mean, if you ask Doctor Who Positivity, for example, on X, I'm just a bit of a twat. It would appear. So this was the kind words of Doctor Who Positivity. But I'm actually Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks, and yeah, this is where I hang out. Really, this is our console room here at Type 40 with the podcasts and the live streams and everything else that we bang out, all in pursuit of covering as much Doctor Who as we possibly can. It's a tall order, but somebody's got to do it. We've got some of the regulars, in fact, are here in the live chat. That's good to see as well. People who can't usually make it, maybe too. I don't know. My main menu for Halloween, says Retro Doc Gary Akers, is Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, the original The Fog. Now, was that the John Carpenter one, or was the one before that I don't know of, Gary? Because I often find that I think that a film is the original. It turns out that it's a remake. That happens to me now and again, so with regularity, from where I am, because is that you think, just when you think you know everything. Funky's got a hat, cowboy hat one. Nice viewing for Halloween. Brain of Morbius, and a couple of video nasties, including Horror Express with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. That's a terrible film. I hope you enjoyed it. That's bloody awful. But you know, schlocky nonsense, isn't it? Oh dear. Yeah, a lot of the people do like that. It makes me howl, not in a good way, in a bad wolf way. Got David Milling at the live chat too. Hey Dan, my shower screen was so shocked about Russell T Davies returning. The runners fell off, and the door clonked me on the head. So David is, are you okay, sir? Are you still vertical? Have you managed to get to your feet, or are you on your way to A&E? Let us know. It's bad luck there. Bad luck. Yeah. What else? And who else? We've got the figure collector in the live chat here. Says, a new subscriber here. I've been enjoying the majority of the shows recently. I really enjoy the chat on the recent news, whether it's positive or negative news on the future of Doctor Who. Well, that's the trick, isn't it? I mean, we can't make the news. All we can do is react to it and offer, certainly on the panels where there's lots of us, offer you as much opinions as we possibly can. And then you can say, oh, well, I agree with that person, or they've got a point about that, but not about that. And that's the conflict, the comparison, the contrast. That's where the conversation is. That's the real debate. That's the real discussion. And that's how we explore the whole of the universe, really, whether it's 1963, 62 years ago, or 62 days ago. Really, it's all the same to us. Good conversation is good conversation, and particularly when it's with good friends or new friends, because we do like to expand the roster and to to break out. Yeah, so this is what it's all been about, obviously, over the last week. This graphic absolutely everywhere, and you've probably been digesting it all in the way that we all have. That's important too. If you let us know how you're feeling about it in the live chat, then we can cover it all, can't we? Yeah, so Gary confirms he means John Carpenter's 1980 film of The Fog. Because it was The Thing was a remake, wasn't it? That was The Thing from Another World originally, which I think I've only ever seen once. Simon Bartlett's joined us as well and says, this is a nice surprise to take my mind off being laid up in bed after knee surgery. I'll get well soon, Simon. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, at least they've sorted you out. Are you now bionic? That's the question. Can you do the sound effects? Every cloud has to have a silver lining, doesn't it? Hope you're up on your feet soon. Look after yourself, sir. Cliff and his older son watched the series Legion over Halloween week. A revisit for me, first time for him. Very creepy. Yeah, I liked that. I'm a big fan of Legion. Noah Hawley's show based on the X-Men comics. Legion was, of course, Professor X's son, wasn't he? He sort of is in the series as well, isn't he? But it's a lot looser. Yeah, it's good stuff. I liked it a lot. I wasn't so impressed with Alien Earth by Noah Hawley. Didn't that was anywhere near as good. Funky warns us that Horror Express is always on BBC iPlayer. It's easy to find. It's easy to avoid. I don't like being nasty about old movies because, yeah, people like them. People like them. David is still on his feet, waiting for the landlord to come back to sort it out. So there you go. Oh, I've really upset people with my mini review of Horror Express, a Euro horror classic, according to Sir Sidney Rough Diamond. And Dalek Lives Matter is in the live chat too, and says the new upscale of Michael Mann's The Keep is a must. Proper Lovecraftian stuff. Have you guys got together and talked about this beforehand? You've now mentioned two really awful films. The Keep, which I for years I wanted to see The Keep. When I finally saw it, I was so disappointed. Bloody awful film. Great music, and some of the scenes, some of the framing of it is beautiful, but no, not for me. Not for me at all. Rose Kirby is still waiting for her season 11 classic Doctor Who DVD box set. Okay. Have you ordered that? Have you placed an order? Very good. Very good. And Stephen Braddock has also been watching The Brain of Morbius and the original Thing from Another World for Halloween. Easily a huge influence on Base Under Siege Doctor Who classics. Yes, you're probably right. I'd say it's quite likely that was. We haven't. When was the last decent Base Under Siege Doctor Who story we had? There hasn't been we don't do a good base anymore, do we? Is that deemed as sort of old hat? I don't know. Could be. Old hat. It's all about the new at the moment, isn't it? New news, new surprises, new statements, new assurances. Lindsay Salt, director of BBC Drama, last week was thanking Disney Plus for being their terrific global partners and really sort of bracing us for the news gently that Russell T Davies has agreed to write another spectacular Christmas special for 2026. But bear in mind, the last one that he wrote was Joy to the World. No, it wasn't. It was Church on Ruby Road. Was that spectacular? Don't know. Lindsay Salt assured fans the Doctor is going nowhere and will remain at the heart of the BBC. Heart of absolute darkness. But assured us that there will be plans for a next series in due course. Make of that what you will. So we shall see. That's what we had last week, wasn't it? Nothing since. We're back to distinct radio silence, aren't we? But a lot of us were quite shocked by that. So be a good thing that we process it for an extended period, couldn't it? This is the first chill stream that I've done since all of that. We did the two big live streams last week, and it was necessary, I think, to cover it, to look at it. But the reactions have been surprising, I think. Not many people particularly enthusiastic for one reason or another. I mean, there is one fan who's sort of drawn up this graphic, a kind of bingo card of the things that they want to see in that special, in that final special from Russell T Davies, I think, and various Doctor Who personalities, actors and actresses that have appeared over the last, 2 years, right the way back to Yasmin Finney. I'd forgotten all about Yasmin Finney. Jacqueline King, there, lovely Jacqueline King. So, yeah, I can't say I'm particularly enthusiastic for any of this. And the speculation as well. I haven't got it in me, I think. I haven't got it in me because there's no rhyme or reason to any of it, is there? So we could sit and I feel that I could sit and go on about this. Well, they're bound to do that. It's logical to do this. Why wouldn't they do that? And you can bet it'll be something else. But it's good that people are being creative and are thinking, I suppose. And if you don't like the official poster, you can go for a fan poster like this one from Blue Box Artworks. The TARDIS sort of set in the snow there. Guess who's back? Question mark. Bring back the question marks. Please, Blue Box Artworks. He hasn't actually said that, but I just thought it'd be fun to say that. Materializing Christmas 2026. So we've got well over another year to wait. But this time next year, we might start seeing trailers and things. Proper trailers. They'll probably start teasing it before then. Proper trailers will start to appear around that point, won't they? So have you got used to the idea yet? That's what we want to know. Gary Akers says here, I think it was the Capaldi Sea Base two-parter. Was that the last Base Under Siege story that we had? As you can probably tell, I've moved the controls around here a little bit. So some things are going where I think they're going to go, and some things aren't. Funky says, I've watched far worse horrors than those ones. Don't go in the woods, and toxic zombies are really bad. Yeah, but a lot of those are deliberately bad, aren't they? It's part of the selling point, I think, isn't it? Toxic zombies, monster movies. Good afternoon, says Bad Wolf, aka Martin. Good to see you there, mate. Hope you're okay. Hope you had a good weekend, and the trick or treaters didn't get you in the end or anywhere else. And Simon says, I'm all good, thanks, Dan. I'm binging my season 13 box set. Let us know how you get on, particularly with the AI stuff that's upset so many people, because obviously now more people have seen it. I think there's opinion is sort of settling. I think it's still largely against the AI aspect of it, but it has evened out a lot after the initial uproar. So let us know what you think, Simon, by all means, whether you notice, whether it's a big deal or a deal of any kind, really. That Zero Room suggests that the BBC are not burning any bridges. Of course they're not. Of course they're not. And Bad Wolf says, yes, says, due course could be 10 years. It could be 10 weeks, could be 10 months, could be 10 years. It's doing all the lifting for them, isn't it? Fly Highlands in the live chat as well. Hello, mate. Good to see you as well. And Corvin, too, is suggesting there's probably a good comedy sketch to be written about the scene of Russell T Davies agreeing to write the special, in quotes, I have been persuaded to stay, as John Nathan Turner used to put it. I suspect that's not been lost on Russell T Davies. Situation. It's a hug. It's a hug. It's a hole he's dug for himself, isn't it? A hug that he's hug. Why am I obsessed with hugs today? A hole that he's dug for himself. Stephen Braddock warns that Russell T Davies will throw everything at this last hurrah. of a special? Everything. Everything, everything and everyone. Whose dignity could be robbed by Russell T Davies come Christmas 2026? Oh, God. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder. There's a lot of time to pass between now and then. Probably best we don't worry too much about it. How worse can it possibly get? There's other things happening out there, though, aren't there? I mean, I was in the news, for example. You see announcements all the time of other things that are happening outside of Doctor Who. There is life outside of Doctor Who, so I'm assured. We'll see. We'll see. Days and dates and all manner of trivia, of course, is how we preoccupy ourselves in the Doctor Who community. And today was one of those. I noticed that it would have been this gentleman's 115th birthday today, the late Richard Hurndall. And I feel that Richard Hurndall's sort of getting a little bit lost in Doctor Who history in recent years. The employment of David Bradley to play the first Doctor several times now, isn't he? At least twice in the series itself. Twice Upon a Time and what was that Jodie Whittaker thing called? Power of the Doctor. That was it. So at least twice, and on audio and at the Time Fracture thing. And Richard Hurndall seems to have been a little forgotten. Yet to me, for the longest time, between 83 and 19, when did they bring the Daleks out on VHS? 89, 1990? It was 1989, wasn't it, in a double pack? So for 6 solid years, Richard Hurndall, for me, was the only first Doctor I really knew. I rewatched the 5 Doctors over and over and over again. 6 years when you're 10. It seems like forever, doesn't it? So yeah, I love Richard Hurndall's take on the character. So yeah, Hurndall was born on the 3rd of November 1910 and passed away just a few months after the 5 Doctors was broadcast in the April of 1984 at the age of 73. It was the final role in a long career as a character actor. He did it all, really, from Steptoe and Son to Manhunt. Here he is in Manhunt. It's not. This wasn't anything recreational. So yes, he played a wrong one in that wartime drama on the BBC in 1970. But yeah, a fun actor who could turn his hand to just about anything. You see him turn up in a lot of those ITC shows as well. The things that star Patrick McGowan and Steve Forrest and people like that. So I just think it's wonderful, Richard Hurndall. This is why when people get a bit sort of antsy, and I bet somebody's doing it now in the live chat, when people get a bit antsy about David Bradley and saying, oh, nobody could replace William Hartnell. Me, David Bradley's take on the character, it's sort of just the latest of, if not many, then several. And then you've got what Stephen Noonan's incredible work on audio with Big Finish, how he's managing to sort of, if not reinvent the character, sort of move the character on and bring his own sort of characterization to it and yet embody that which William Hartnell and Richard Hurndall did. You know, I think it's good that these characters can sort of move on in their own right, even if in the case of Doctor Who's, they come so firmly from that which the actor has brought through of themselves, if you follow me. That's how it used to work, isn't it? Back in the good old days. Characterization was all important, and the lifeblood of Doctor Who, really, that which an actor could bring to it. God, that means it's how many years? 32nd anniversary of the Five Doctors. God. I feel old. It was seriously I think I've said this before. The entire week that the Five Doctors was going to screen was so exciting for me. But that day, that Friday, my God, I don't think a school day ever went slower, you know. Badwell says he ate too many leftover Halloween sweets. He's still got the bellyache. Rest up, my friend. The Figure Collector says, I really like the latest images of the TARDIS they are using on all of Doctor Who's social media platforms. So do I. I think it's nicely done. It sort of captures the spirit of Doctor Who very nicely enough. The TARDIS itself looks sort of generic enough because there are little sort of creases to the design that are particular to the current model, but to the naked eye, to the floating voter, to the casual punter, it's just the TARDIS, and that's all that really matters. That's all that really matters. Tennant and Piper for sure for the Christmas special, says Badwolf. There's life outside of Doctor Who, says Luke at Cinescope. Well, so they tell me. We've got more here. Stephen Braddock is very excited about the new Vince Gilligan series, Pluribus. Sounds like something you go to a special clinic to get looked at. The disaster of everyone being incessantly happy. Stephen, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I hope you enjoy it, whatever it is. It sounds quite unpleasant, but I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, so I just wanted to give a nod there to Richard Hurndall on what would have been his 115th birthday. Yeah, lovely actor. You watch it. You go and take a look at some classic TV and watch him pop up here and there. No, Hurndall was the first Doctor Stephen Braddock saw as well. It's not just me then. I'd seen An Unearthly Child as part of the Five Faces of Doctor Who series in 81, which I think that was 44 years ago this week as well. So this time of year, the Five Doctors is always on my mind. So is the Five Faces of Doctor Who. All those things that were formative to my own fandom. Yeah. Funky can't quite remember if he saw Hurndall in the Five Doctors or Blake Seven first. But he was in Blake Seven first because that's where he was spotted, wasn't it? By Ian Levine, I believe. I think it was Ian that told JNT, you want to take a look at that guy in that wig because he looks a bit like that other guy. There's no way Ian Levine would ever describe William Hartnell as the other guy, is there? Sorry, Ian. Yeah, that's how that happened. The episode Assassin. So that was episode 6 or 7 of Series D of Blake 7. Again, roles that were very late in the career of Richard Hurndall. The Figure Collector says the character options released an action figure of Richard Hurndall's first Doctor alongside a Dalek from the Five Doctors a couple of years ago. I tried to get that. I think that was the final straw for me with character options because I really wanted that. And could I see it anywhere? Could I find it? No. Corvin says, I've been absent from chats for a while as my Thursday nights have been taken up with rehearsing a show with the Birmingham Opera Company. I've been a volunteer actor-singer with them for a few years. Oh, that's well, you're forgiven. Break a leg. Let us know what you've got coming up, Corvin. It's a great thing to do. My stepbrother used to be in various productions. Was he with you? He was in Aida and things like that. He's an entertainer of sorts. Yeah, let us know how you get on, Good luck with that. Yes, sir. Bad Wolf enjoys David Bradley's take. I do too, sort of. It's a lot broader. Is it any more broad than Richard Herndon's? Yeah, I think it is a little, but only because it was written that way. Come to think of it, yeah, I don't mind David Bradley's take. I can take it or leave it, shall we say? Rose Kirby asks, "Hey, which do you prefer, Day of the Dead or The Walking Dead? The Day of the Dead films, the George Romero movies, or The Walking Dead on TV? I prefer." See, if we were just talking about the first couple of seasons of The Walking Dead, I think that they could give Romero's stuff a run for its money. But I have to go with Romero. The Walking Dead just stayed around for too long, in my opinion. Fly Highlands asking about the Five Doctors photo shoot. Is it true Tom said he would show up for the photo shoot, but they weren't sure, so they bought the waxwork just in case. Just in case he cocked him a deafin and sort of slept in. Yeah, that is true. They arranged for the loan of the Madame Tussauds waxwork, just in case. Very prudent, was it, as it turned out? You gotta love Tom Baker, haven't you? Gotta love a bit of Tom. Who doesn't? The icon. Gary adds, what would social media look like if everyone was happy? The mind boggles. I couldn't agree more. I was very happy the other day when I was browsing through social media because I was really starting to miss her as well. But I saw the vision of gorgeousness that is Barasetu. Yes, she could. Yes, she's had me in the palm of her hand since I first saw the filming, whenever it was. So here she is, there with a little friend hanging out. It was so short. It was so sweet, wasn't it? Those 8 weeks where we had all that promise. Get Belinda home. That was the tagline. We had a brilliant trailer, didn't it, with the Phil Collins track over the top. I love a bit of Phil Collins. And I love Barasetu as well. So I couldn't wait for all of that. And even though the series was floundering pretty early on, I thought the general sort of framing of it, with the idea of getting the companion home, a classic Doctor Who sort of trope, that was more than adequate and appropriate and fair and measurable, particularly for the kids. Because everybody wants to go home, don't they? When they're a bit knackered or when you're lost, anybody can relate to that. And they ultimately, it all went out the window by about week 5. And by week 8, she was and is long gone. So I'm just delighted to see her on social media. So here she was the other day. She attended the Glamour Women of the Year Awards for 2025, and doesn't she look sensational? Yeah, she looks like something out of a box of Quality Street, doesn't she? So yes, the awards took place on the 30th of October, it says here, and she'd been chosen as one of the honorees. So she was getting a nod, a gong, or both. So the idea was it was to acknowledge her 2025, the prominent part of the companion in Doctor Who. Okay, it's probably not as prominent as it used to be, but still, in spirit, it's there. And she was still part of season 2 of Andor, wasn't she? And she was mixing with sort of other actors and musicians and activists, it said here on the website, that were all being honoured for contributions to various respective fields of endeavour. That's nice. It's nice. I keep a relatively close eye on what Varida's up to, in the in the interests of pursuing Doctor Who news, obviously. No other reason at all. But no, it is nice to see somebody who got a little bit shortchanged by her involvement in Doctor Who for just a few short weeks out there and sort of making good on it, using it to sort of power her through maybe to the next phase, I suppose, of her career. Here she is, on the set of The Well. Yeah, hanging out. The bloke on the bloke with the moustache. I don't know. They'll come back to me, but yeah, she's having a good time. They're obviously having a laugh in between scenes. Always nice to see. But yeah, so I just want good people, good talented people, to come out of Doctor Who and move on, and for nice things to happen to them. A golden beauty, says Stephen Braddock. Me or her? Me or her? Absolutely stunning. Lol, says the Zero Room. Yeah, and Stephen Braddock says Millie Gibson's gone on to appear in The Forsyth. The Forsyths, a high-end drama. Yeah, that's the third TV adaptation of the Forsyth saga, isn't it? That's coming. I think might be due before the end of the year. Sort of lost track, really, but no, I think that's great for Millie Gibson as well. It's the same thing in principle, despite the reports of Millie Gibson from the making of Doctor Who. That was a couple of years ago for the actress now, and to be honest, I think that both Varada and Millie were easily the best things about the last couple of years being a Doctor Who fan. I think they picked very, very well both times as regards what we got on screen. Now, our end of it, we get characters who feel like they are cast in the right roles and who bring those characters to life, who bring enough of themselves through to embody the roles as written. And in both cases, I think they were beautifully chosen. The Forsyths is airing on Channel 5 in the UK, says the Figure Collector. Yeah, I was surprised at that because obviously the BBC made the original one, and then 20 years ago, Damien Lewis starred in. Yeah, that was on ITV. Damien Lewis, Gina McKee was in the second version, and here we are again. Corvin says The Well is a bit based Under Siege, isn't it? You know what? I think that probably does count. But in the case of The Well, the creature, the danger is already within, isn't it? So are they under siege? Can you be under siege from literally the person next to you? I think it's a different thing. I think that based under siege to me means that you're battening down the hatches, barricading the doors to keep something out. But in the case of The Well, there was always something that was in, wasn't there? From what I can remember, I haven't gone back to any of these episodes yet. I don't know. Is The Well a base under siege story? Let's know what you think. I don't know. Is Corvin right? I think he might be. Yes, well, I might give the Forsyths a go, and I'll certainly be keeping an eye on where Varada Setu turns up next, which brings me on to this. This is exclusive news from my contacts in the media, TV and film industry. So the next thing that Varada's going to do, she has got a part in this. So she's joining the cast of Apple TV's Slow Horses, which is led by the great Sir Gary Oldman, as I've exclusively found out in the last few days. She's not filmed it yet, but I think they're due to start in the new year. So Varada Setu joining the cast of Slow Horses for the next season on Apple TV, the rechristened Apple TV. You heard it here first, here at Type 40. Yes, I've never seen this show. It's really, really popular. I've been told that I would like it. Don't know why. It seems similar to New Tricks, that old BBC show, but with more of an edge, a bit more depth to it. And I know that it's an ensemble cast, isn't it, that sort of backs up Gary Oldman. So it's great news. It's a big show for Varda to be part of, and it's good for Doctor Who. For the very few people who were watching season 2 this year, it's good that they can see people like Varda and Millie going on from Doctor Who, springboard into other bigger and better things. Let's be honest. It's good for the profile of the show for the most part. While Ncuti Gatwa does whatever it is that Ncuti Gatwa is going to do. Who knows? Greetings and salutations from PVFS in the live chat, Pete Vinkman. What else is here? They're creating box-ticking personalities rather than talent. Who's that? It's not I think get the impression DLM's not a big fan of Varda Satan. A frump? Really? A frump? Really? Come on. What else? No, I don't think you can really accuse either Miller Gibson or Varda Satan of being box tick castings at all. They're archetypes. You know, neither of those characters are going to break any molds. Both of them are similar to other companions, aren't they? Ruby Sunday is sort of Rose Tyler spliced together with probably Amy Pond, whereas Belinda is a bit of Tegan, a bit of Grace Holloway. So there's 2 or 3 different characters sort of in the mix in both cases, but you could argue that there's only so many types of humans. I think this is why a lot of us, myself included, would like there to be some sort of alien companion, or a companion from the past, or a companion from Earth's future. I think that would be, all of those things would be far more interesting things to do, because there's only so many things you can bring into the mix for a young Earth woman. No, I think we should, for everything that we should have to be disappointed in Ncuti Gatwa for, we should be proud of those 2 young women for doing what they did with the material that they'd got. Yeah, I'm serious. Don't look at me like that. What are awards at the end of the day? They, don't mean a great deal, do they? Varda Saitu also accepted that Outstanding Achievement in Family Programming Award on behalf of Doctor Who at the Television Critics Association back in August. Heaven knows what that is. I mean, Gary Akers had to explain that to me because I'd never heard of it. There's so many awards now, I've never heard of a lot of them. And when they're attached to magazines and things like that, in all fairness, and things that are parts of media groups, it means even less. But the fact that Doctor Who people are there, that can't be a bad thing, can it? And I'll certainly be jumping on Slow Horses. I mean, this is a show I've been meaning to get to for a long time. So, yeah, let us know. Do you watch it already? Will you be watching it to support another Doctor Who graduate? I suppose. Ncuti Gatwa will probably end up advertising knee pads, suggests Stephen O'Neill. Millie moved on to bigger and better things. No argument there, Dan. Well, it's certainly going to be a more prominent role in a series that could theoretically run and run. Channel 5 have been very canny in snapping up All Creatures Great and Small, the remake of that, which the BBC turned down. I don't know if the Forsyths was offered to anybody else, but it looks like a big show. It looks like a big show. The budget, it looks sumptuous in the way that Bridgerton is sumptuous, but obviously it's based on actual proper books. Not trashy sort of airport novels, proper books. Gary Oldman is the epitome of world weary in Slow Horses, says Stephen. Yeah, I've not seen it. It does look like the kind of thing I would enjoy. I may even have a couple of pairs of socks just like that. Oh, dear. Maybe there should be an award for fan bashing, suggests Pete Venkman. Who do you think would win that? I wonder if he's found any grass to touch since we last saw it. Oh, dear. Doctor Who has survived Ncuti Gatwa. Will it survive Russell T Davies? That's the problem. Because to the surprise of plenty out there, it is going to be back this time next year. At least for one night only, or for one afternoon only. Be careful what you wish for. How much more damage can he possibly do? What else have we got? Rose asks, who thinks it's a great idea to have a poll for the spin-off? When will it air on BBC One? Well, there's only 6 weeks left of the year, isn't there? So is it worth it? I think. Does anybody really care? I don't care. You can set up a poll if you like. It's a very small window, so I can't really think that it'll be a great wait. Certainly won't be further months, will it? That was the other part of the news the other day, wasn't it? The war between the land and the sea was coming this year after all. Not quite where they wanted it. The BBC wanted it sort of now. They want it to be on by now. And I don't think it's a great fit for Christmas at all, this kind of programming. I think people will be out and about too much to pay attention to something like this, to an event series that they can't binge watch. I think Netflix, Amazon Prime, they can do stuff like this. People may spend a whole evening watching it, but I don't think they will for a BBC drama of any kind, whatever it's connected to. But I could be wrong. DLM says, I'll give anything associated with Ncuti, Varada, and most of the other shower of last Doctor Who's era a wide berth. Well, that's up to you. I think there was talent on. To me, there was talent on screen. There was probably talent on display in various aspects of it. So I'm not going to. No, I don't see any reason to discriminate like that. But again, you do you. Fly Highland says it's crazy how uncreative New Who has been when it comes to companions compared to the classic series. For people who go on about diversity, not much when every companion is a girl from modern London. I understand the need to make them relatable. I don't disagree with that core principle, but I think once the show had been on for a while, there was no real reason not to be a touch more creative with it, have a bit more fun with it, particularly in the specials and things that they've put out, when there's been sort of one-shot companions and things. But there's been, when a series like Doctor Who restarts and resets, I think it is important that they go back to sort of factory settings, really. And then they should devise another archetype in the way that Amy Pond was in Series 5. And to a similar extent, I think that's, what was the character's name? Yaz, when Chris Chibnall took over. He knew that there had to be some archetypal young woman there. He just overthought it the way he overthought everything, and always looking to which boxes he could tick and create. I mean, in that instance, it wasn't ethnicity that was the hook, was it? It was the idea that she'd be like mega capable, and a one-woman police force who wasn't remotely experienced, competent. She was just the bestest ever, as they used to say at the time. It was that kind of Mary Sue. That's the expression, isn't it? That doesn't work. But for the most part, as it's proven by Ruby Sunday in particular, she's the archetypal companion. When things are reset, that's the best place to go. I think I'm losing track of the live chat here. So we've danced around a touch. And we're never going to get DLM to say anything positive about anyone associated with Doctor Who in the last 10 to 15 years, I don't think so. We're going to leave that. Rob. Hi, Rob. Rob's watching on YouTube and says the problem now with Doctor Who is that it's gone on for too long. Even the best production team and writers would struggle to bring something new to it. That is true. But they've made it so much harder than need be by going back to, if not the same, in some respects, the same writers and creatives, in the case of Russell T Davies, with the same general pool. They've mined the same territory for a very long time. And then in the case of what Russell T Davies has done in recent years, they've allowed him to handpick the writers too. So they're people who will, and to mentor a lot of them, so they will share his tastes and his voice in some respects. They'll be megaphones for him to some degree. Lots of recommendations for slow horses. I'll have to give that a watch. I'll have to get on it. I've got to see Verida in it, haven't I? Even if she's wearing an old cagoule and a pair of Oppenheimer boots, it's got to be worth seeing. More Millie fans in the live chat. What else? I do sort of agree with you, Rob, up to a point. Up to a point. When you think back that the show has had extended periods off air, whilst it's been in production, there's been periods of time where it's been off air for a year, sometimes longer. And when it's come back, has it felt any fresher, looked any better? Is it telling a different kind of story? Is it moving itself on when it does come back from those? This was during the Moffat era as well. This is regularly. And the answer, for the most part, is no. I'm not suggesting that they're necessarily lazy in the time in between, but I don't think they put it to the best use. And I think that most of those gaps were very ill-timed. They were timed to serve other purposes, all manner of other purposes, whether it be schedulers, members of the production team, all manner of other purposes, everything but Doctor Who's. Everything but Doctor Who's own. Doctor Who should never be last on the list, particularly when it was the BBC's most valued brand after Top Gear as was, which they also fucked up. Rob just saw this was happening. How is everybody? Well, I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good. Yes, so the general reason why I wanted to catch up with you guys was because in the last few days, since the last Type 40 live stream, a lot of people have been asking me one particular question. And it concerns one particular article. And I thought, well, now would be an ideal time to sort of look at that, I suppose. So let's see what we can do, what we can conjure up. Okay, give me a moment. Where is it? There.
Ba, 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 ba. You were gone before we could tell you were number one. Number one. Cycling in a cloud of tobacco smoke. Kicks TV with a dirty joke. You called it hope and pulp and fluff, but it rang with the truth of way your stuff. Ba, 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 ba. You were gone brain and your pen might have taken you high, but fate marked you for the cheap sci-fi. Ba 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 ba, you were gone. We never got to tell you you were number one, number one. Ba 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 ba, you were gone. We never got to tell you you were number one, number one. Slapping in a cloud of tobacco smoke, kiss TV with a dirty joke. You called it hope and pulp and fluff, but it rang with the truth of weird stuff. Ba 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 ba, you were gone. We never got to tell you you were number one, number one. Ba 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 ba, you were gone. We never got to tell you you were number one, number one, number one.
Back with all the doctors, well, some of the doctors, the ones that count anyway, back here with this chill stream here, the first in a while. I'm getting back in the swing of it, sort of bit by bit, and I think you are too there in the live chat on YouTube. Thank you for joining me this time, everyone. But there is a reason why I wanted to sort of get together, was to look through this, because we went live streaming last Thursday just as an article was being published on Deadline. A Deadline is an increasingly significant resource, I suppose you could say, for the entertainment industry. A leading source on not just TV, but film, digital media, popular culture. Originally, it was Deadline Hollywood, wasn't it? I remember when it was just starting out, really. Sort of a blog initially based on just one columnist, and it was snapped up. It was sort of expanded and snapped up a few years later, and it's now part of this huge media group. And they do cover Doctor Who quite a lot, as we've come to see. And in recent days, this one article that's been published over there is being talked about in minute detail. And what I found with a lot of these sort of bigger profile places who only look at Doctor Who every now and again is that they often don't know as much as we do. So, you know, I wouldn't say I take it with a pinch of salt, but it's just one voice of many. Here they were with an exclusive. They said, why Disney ditched Doctor Who. Sources say ratings, big ticket budget, and MAGA politics were factors in the BBC deal failing to regenerate. I mean, these are certainly the things that we've been talking about, aren't they? Not just on Type 40, but everywhere that fans congregate, really. It's been the same story. And here we are. Got the article up here. So I would imagine that you've read this. I had a quick look at it a few days ago. And I wasn't really sure. A quick scan. And I thought, well, is there anything here that hasn't been said before, that I haven't said before or heard before, and that we haven't sort of milled over here? Who's read it? I think you've probably all read it, haven't you? Yeah, let me know. So I'm going to take a look now and just see if anything sort of strikes me. Really, if I'm going to read it again, I may as well read it with you guys. So here we are. We've got why Disney ditched Doctor Who. Sources say ratings, big ticket budget, and MAGA politics were factors in BBC deal failing to regenerate. It says that Dana Walden was in London earlier this month, but it's safe to say that renewing Doctor Who was not among the Disney entertainment chief's priorities. Wasn't remotely in the equation. This fell through a long, long time ago. And it looks like Deadline have been hearing that as well. Sources have been telling Deadline for more than a year that Disney has been lukewarm on the sci-fi series. And by Tuesday afternoon, so that was last week, it was official. The BBC confirmed that its Doctor Who co-production agreement had vaporized. I notice here they mention what was conceived as a plan to marvelize the franchise did not translate into a big bang. Instead, the partnership has died with a whimper, with Disney not even putting out a statement to mark its passing. It is conspicuous, isn't it, that the BBC have put out this statement. It's expected because the BBC own the brand. They're the ones who've got to assure its continued longevity, its endurance, and be its advocate. Why was there no corresponding statement from Disney? That either Disney Plus or the greater corporation. That does strike me as being strange nearly a week on. Could they be waiting until they've aired The War Between the Land and the Sea? But that's not happening potentially until next February, March is the time that we're hearing. If there's not something from both parties, it implies an inequality. Even more so, I think it could imply if not a hostility, it's certainly a state of coldness between the two former co-production partners. But it says it was conceived as a plan to marvelize the franchise that did not translate. They wanted to upscale it, didn't they? And seeing as that had been done with Doctor Who before, long before Marvel Studios, in relative terms, with Torchwood, Sarah Jane revolving around Doctor Who as its hub, and then the satellite shows Doctor Who Confidential, Torchwood Declassified, and the Sarah Jane Adventures files, or case files, whatever they were. You've got all these things all spinning around. They made it look so easy, didn't they? And in theory, there's no reason why that couldn't have been done again. But when they talk about marvelizing something, that's what I think the plan was for Doctor Who, to simply upscale it and to connect it and to have a kind of functional universe again. But once you equate something with Marvel, which has absolutely had its time in the sun now and gone stale, you fasten it to that, all under the Disney umbrella as well, it paints a sorry picture, doesn't it? We've got more here. So Deadline has spoken with multiple sources in Doctor Who's orbit who say the Disney deal fell apart for a variety of reasons. That's true, including concerns over Ncuti Gatwa's show's failure to break out from its established fan base and its big ticket budget. This is where I'm starting to wonder, who is it that Deadline are actually listening to? The budget of Doctor Who, and Disney have spoken about this themselves, Disney's investment in Doctor Who, in Disney's terms, don't get me wrong, it's not the kind of money that you or I would ever find stashed down the back of the sofa. But it's nowhere near the level of investment that they have in other properties, in other co-productions. So I'm going to say it was nothing to do with this big ticket budget. And from what I hear, it's not, and I can't talk about this. Maybe there'll be a time when I can, but from what I've heard from other sources, neither Disney has not put in the amount of money that's been reported into it anyway, and that the mechanics of that co-production aren't as simple as they appear either, whereby somebody just turns up with effectively a brown envelope full of cash and says, there you go, there's our share, go off and make it. Apparently, it hasn't been like that at all. That's for breaking out of its established fan base. Well, Doctor Who had retreated, I suppose, back into its established fan base, hadn't it? Or what was left of it in the wake of Jodie Whittaker's absolutely shocking era. You see, this is all well and good, and this nobody's going to argue with this because Doctor Who hasn't broken out, has it? It hasn't caught fire. But we know here at Type 40, because of the people that have been speaking to us, that certainly by as soon as midway through the transmission of the 60th anniversary specials, several weeks before Ncuti Gatwa even had a full-length debut in the church on Ruby Road, things between the BBC and Disney Studios were already in a state of malfunction, shall we say, to be on the safe side. So yes, the variety of factors all playing into the same reason, really, a breakdown in relations and cooperation between the two. Others suspect that fears of a woke backlash may be a factor, as Doctor Who has embraced diverse storytelling under Russell T Davies. Doctor Who hasn't always been woke, despite what midwits out there are going to insist on telling us. It's a load of bollocks. But it has been woke since 2018. So the backlash has sort of happened in waves, isn't it? The difference is that mainstream culture rejected this a long, long time ago. Mainstream audiences rejected it at practically every turn and every production. It's taken a while for those who run franchises for them to run out of other people's money to burn. That's the truth of the matter. I don't know how Deadline have consistently covered other outputs in that time, because I haven't been following. You know, I look now and again at something like Deadline to see which films are coming out. So I don't know if there's been any continuity there. How woke have Deadline been over the months and years of this god awful culture war? Have they been just as bad as everybody else? I don't know. But the fact that Doctor Who in 2025 is still telling the kind of stories that were being commissioned in 2019, 2020, and that were filling movies and TV 6 years ago, that's not a good look. And it looks and sounds and feels desperately outdated now. 5 years is a long, long time. It wasn't for the long term, it says in big bold letters there. It was pretty apparent from early on this wasn't for the long term, says a former Disney executive. Everyone got the impression that it wasn't doing what it needed to do on Disney Plus to be sustained. The framing of this, again, is curious. Disney Plus only started showing this show. It was less than 2 years ago, little over 18 months ago. We're talking early on, late in the day. You'd think it was a period of 3 or 4 years that people were talking about. Obviously, we do not know Disney facts and stats. We have no idea Disney proposals, ideal outcomes from any of this. So it was pretty apparent from early on this wasn't for the long term. I would say that whether it was doing from what we were being told, how it was doing or not doing on Disney Plus was to some extent academic. The writing was on the wall because relations were breaking down. The partners couldn't work together. And if people can't work together to reach an end goal, to put out the product as agreed, then the whole thing is going to break down pretty quickly, isn't it? And they go to recap here that the deal was announced in October of 2022. Seems so long ago. It's quite a long time. 3 years is quite a long time. It was hailed at the time of being an unprecedented pact to bring together two giants of entertainment. But the ex-Disney insider says they soon detected regret at spending so much on Doctor Who. The show's budget was between $6 million, that's $8.5 million per episode. $8.5 million per episode, putting the whole value of the deal at as much as $168 million. Again, from what I hear, there are no accurate figures floating out there. The Deadline are reputable. They say they know somebody. You've got to take it seriously. But again, I'm also hearing that these numbers are not accurate. That all the numbers in the media, that it's been overstated. You see, at the start of deals like this, the BBC, whoever the party is, whoever is the lesser party that's getting involved with the greater, they do tend to exaggerate, don't they, to make something appear bigger than it actually is. It's only when something fails and breaks down, when blame starts to be blame starts to be sort of delegated to whoever and passed on, like the book gets passed. That's when we start to get the truth of the matter, and that's when we get people saying, well, it wasn't as much as, well, it wasn't quite like that. Well, we said that at the time, but that's when the greys start to appear. The former Mouse House employee, God, they're bringing all of the Mouse House employee notes a lack of marketing firepower behind the brand, nowhere near the might of brands like Marvel or Star Wars. I think Disney put enough into this in 2024. I think that was appropriate. Doctor Who, certainly by the time they got their hands on it, by the time Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker had finished running it into the ground, it simply couldn't stand next to Marvel or Star Wars. There was probably a time 10 years ago where it could. It justified being there, and could have generated back on that kind of marketing budget and profile. But by 2024, we just weren't there anymore. It became harder for Doctor Who to cut through to American audiences. It wasn't being shouted about as a big success as this person. They go on to mention an executive at BBC Studios, which owns Doctor Who. And they say it never felt like Disney were making much of a deal about it. How much more of a deal do you want them to make? They had it plastered all over the sides of subway trains. They've got entire installations at Disney World resorts, a considerable presence at San Diego Comic-Con that year. I don't think Disney let the show down at all. It was BBC Studios and the quality of the show itself that didn't deliver, that made it impossible. I mean, as I understand it, the decision had pretty much been made by then anyway. But that would have been the icing on the cake. Disney sources have countered this, as they rightly should, with one telling the Times a lot of marketing muscle was put behind the show. I'm on Disney's side with that. There is conflict, public conflict here. Ratings flop. Doctor Who's performance has been far from stellar in the US this season. It failed to register on the Nielsen and Luminate streaming charts. See, I've never seen those metrics. I haven't looked for a time. I think I did go looking for a little while. I've since been offered comprehensive figures and stats on these things, but I feel now, well, why bother? Why? Who's interested now? Meanwhile, the Entertainment Strategy Guy blog. So that's another fan. that's somebody out in the independent media sector. Branded Doctor Who's debut on Disney as one of the flops of 2024. That's from their perception. They're probably right. If somebody who looks across the landscape and makes their judgments based on that, they're probably right. because momentum stopped, didn't it? About halfway through. That is why they need the Daleks in season 1, really, and not have them in season 2 was lunacy. There was a serious lack of awards buzz around the series, which only managed one primetime Emmy nomination during its time on Disney Plus, and that was for the outstanding choreography in the Devil's Cord. There was a lack of awards buzz. Well, this is going to be because once people saw it, they realized it was seldom better than mediocre, and all too often unwatchable shit. Whereas over on the BBC, Doctor Who has seen an alarming drop-off in viewing figures, which we've covered comprehensively at Type 40 on the live streams, on Type 40 Live in particular. They say it represents a decline of roughly 1 million on each episode. Yeah, it does. I mean, the line only really goes one way, doesn't it? There's the odd pit stop where something sort of levels out for 1 week, but then it's almost aggressively downward. And again, it's the same with the Jodie Whittaker stuff, wasn't it? So it just continued the trend, the downward trend. And yes, the change in the broadcasting environment hasn't helped. Of course it hasn't. But that reasoning, that excuse can only go so far to justify this. The ratings were not up to much. Someone involved in the series ruefully acknowledges. Now that does sound like it comes from a genuine person, doesn't it? That sounds like something I would say. That's a British expression. It's not up to much. I don't think Americans use that expression, generally speaking, do they? Oh, bloody hell, there she is. Gee, look at that. They're going on here to recap Lindsay Salt's gratitude, public gratitude to Disney Plus for being terrific global partners. But the House of Mouse was nowhere near as glowing, with a spokesman simply confirming the BBC statement and noting Gatwa seasons will remain on Disney Plus outside of the UK for the time being. So we're just talking about they didn't bother with the etiquette. They concentrated on the housekeeping, on the admin. They're not interested in any etiquette, any politeness at all. Sources tell us that the BBC and Disney had initially planned to make a statement about Doctor Who's future after the premiere of The War Between the Land and the Sea. But Disney moved the announcement up. Well, they moved The War Between the Land and the Sea up because of that huge misunderstanding, which we talked about on Type 40 Live on our exclusive report. So this does actually line up more or less with what we were told. But Disney didn't move the announcement. They moved The War Between the Land and the Sea, which therefore moved the window for the announcement that they wished to make. And then they speak to Tony. They speak to our mate Tony Jordan at the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, and Tony goes on to speculate about time periods and things like that. They've clearly sat down and made a so I won't step in on what Tony's saying. I believe that Tony is speaking off the top of his head there, in his own words, his own opinions, because that's certainly not. This decision was not made in the past week or so. This decision was made a long, long time ago. We were told in the new year, so it's quite likely it was made. I suspect it was made a year ago. So, with respect, Tony's a lovely fella. Get over to the Dwas and support him by all means. But yeah, I think Tony's barking up the wrong tree there. Let's pick it up a little bit further down. Another well-placed industry source. See, I'm not suggesting that Tony's not a well-placed industry source. But he doesn't work in the industry. He runs the closest thing there is to an official fan body that revolves around the show. Don't know. So here they say another well-placed industry source, which I think that has to come with a disclaimer. Someone else. Someone else with an opinion said Doctor Who became too woke for Trump's USA, and this was a factor in Disney's minds when it came to renewal. This fits the narrative. This fits the picture. Clearly, the policies, the ideology, and the conservatism alone of Trump's USA, of President Trump's political beliefs, the entire nature of conservatism is the total opposite of the things that Russell T Davies certainly personally believes, and anyone else who's ever spoken about such matters at Doctor Who has ever said. It all lines up with everything that's the polar opposite of that. So this isn't a big reach at all. They are opposing factors. But of course, the number one peddlers of all that is woke and all the damage that's been done to usually robust and important franchises, important creatively and financially. Star Wars was the biggest property in entertainment, wasn't it? All of those things have been damaged by Disney with wokeism. So if an industry source is saying that Disney consciously felt that Doctor Who was too woke, not just for Trump's USA, for President Trump's politics, but for them in 2025, that points to a massive change of heart at Disney, based on the fact that they've run out of other people's money to burn and other people's franchises to destroy, and an awareness that times have changed, and that Doctor Who is behind those times by a good 5 years. I mean, all that fits the picture. But again, I can't state this enough. President Trump was elected just over a year ago. The relationship between BBC Studios and Bad Wolf and Disney was falling apart practically from the start. And as I've come to understand it, the plug was pulled on this a year ago. Now, did they see the results of the presidential election and think, well, that's Doctor Who, fuck then, isn't it? And immediately cancelled it based on that? I don't think that's true. So, whilst this does make sense at first glance, and yes, those things are in conflict, culture has moved on a lot in a year. The Overton window is moved to the right, hasn't it? It's moved now, I'd say, to the centre. We're approaching the centre right now, for the most part, internationally. Not in Britain, obviously. Well, not the people. Britain remains a conservative country. It's just our politicians, our ruling classes, that are aggressively far left wing and totalitarian. But generally speaking, the Overton window has moved off to the centre right. So, yeah, too woke for Disney. Imagine. What I'd be interested to see is, again, because I don't subscribe to Disney Plus either. I don't subscribe to the BBC through the license fee, and I don't subscribe to Disney Plus. So I don't know whether there's been a sea change in content, in the tone of content, and the nature of the things that they're commissioning over at Disney Plus. I don't know whether that's changed. So if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, let me know. Has Disney broadly rejected wokeism now? Has that tide started to turn to the point where Doctor Who, in the form that it had been over the last 18 months, would look incongruent with the greater brand? I can't speak for that, as I'm not a Disney Plus customer. It goes on to mention the appearances by Jinx Monsoon and Jonathan Groff, which were both pretty awful, let's be honest. Disney is incredibly unlikely to ever admit that politics were a factor in Doctor Who's cancellation. So we'll never get an answer on that. Yeah, Disney don't say a great deal about anything, do they? And again, in the case of Disney, why would they? Why should they? They're not a public broadcaster in the way the BBC is. They can do largely what they like. Mm, mm. They say that the Jimmy Kimmel's brief suspension, revealing of the company's desire to minimize MAGA right. You see, this is Deadline isn't a trashy website, but minimize MAGA wrath. I don't know. That sounds like politicized language to me. It implies a bias on behalf of Deadline, in my opinion. Again, Deadline are a respected news source. They've published in the last 18 months some very frank, plain speaking, to the point of being damning coverage of Doctor Who. But some of the language in here does imply a certain left-wing bias to me. Doctor Who could have dialed down diversity under a Disney renewal, but the fact remains that celebrating difference has always been part of the show's DNA. What? Celebrating difference is nothing to do with Doctor Who's DNA. It's an adventure serial for the whole family. That's Doctor Who's DNA. Anything that's been embellished on it by other people, either who've worked on it in recent years or who have joined the fan base and joined the conversation on social media in recent years, is entirely in their own heads. More speculation there from Tony Jordan at the Doctor Who Appreciation Society. And more about the rumoured cost. Here as well. So looking back to this upcoming Christmas 2026 special, it says, committing to that 15 months away buys the BBC time to ponder how to push on now that it has lost a hefty chunk of Doctor Who budget. And it's got in another quote here, it can be a reset and buys everyone time to make decisions. So again, that's not a quote that is attached to any individual, just something that's mentioned here on the Deadline article. The source goes on to say, once you've gone up, it's always difficult to go back down. Yeah, that does line up with things that we've heard. They're very aware that Doctor Who, in being taken on by a global streaming platform, being invested in by a studio of that size, and with that amount of reach, did represent it going up a bracket as an international drama and obviously falling back again. It stinks of failure, doesn't it? That's no one's ideal, but it is a reality nonetheless, and it could be a reason why it's taken so long for anything to have been said. Because you could see when you look back to the Edinburgh TV Festival that certain things were on the tips of the tongues of the BBC big wigs who were attending that event. I think they wanted to talk about it but couldn't. Very evidently, the writing was on the wall then, and it could be the case that they were forced into that announcement last week. And that perhaps, again, this is pure speculation on my part, I would imagine the ideal would have been to announce the upcoming Christmas special probably on Doctor Who Day or at Christmas, this Christmas coming at the latest. Some people speaking in this article have pointed out that some of David's cheaper episodes were his best. 73 yards, get some praise here. It's a moot point now, isn't it, really? Finding another American buyer for Doctor Who will be tough going, the ex-Disney source adds, while striking piecemeal deals across Europe and Latin America may prove difficult for a show that is ultimately quintessentially British. Doctor Who's had co-production partners the entire time it's been back in the 21st century to one degree or another. So I think if the brand hadn't been devalued so much over the last 7 years, it wouldn't be such a problem. I think it's an uphill struggle now. Whereas in 2013, 14, 15, as I understand it, people were clamoring for Doctor Who, to be involved in Doctor Who, for more Doctor Who. As I remember it, the frustration there was that the BBC couldn't really make enough of the show to satisfy appetite and demand. Even when Peter Capaldi had taken the show over, and it did have a slight downturn in popularity. How do you convince a buyer to take Doctor Who when it hasn't been on their platform for so long? They could have burnt several bridges with this Disney Plus deal, because I can't see them being able to take it back to ABC in Australia, for example. Maybe they will, but I think it's quite likely are they going to want to save face? Don't know. Yeah, so that's the bulk of it, it would seem. They go on to remind us that the 13 seasons of New Doctor Who have just come off HBO Max in the US, meaning that a deal could be done for the entire series. So now they can shop around for everything. But again, from what we've heard, the Disney material will be tied up there for an extended period of time. Disney retain the bulk of rights. And it circles back to Lindsay Salt's comment that we started out with earlier on. The TARDIS remains at the heart of the BBC. This ability to regenerate has always been central to Doctor Who lore. So who would bet against Disney simply being a fleeting passenger in the Time Lord's travel through space and time? That's Deadline's own editorial. Kate Campione contributed to this report. Contributed? Interesting choice of words, isn't it? Is that the only name attached to this? Max Goldbart and Jake Cranter. So there's 3 writers on this piece. 3 writers. I don't know. I can see why people have jumped on this article, and Deadline are a big deal. You can't discount anything that Deadline say. They are very, very influential. But personally, I'm not seeing a great deal there that we either haven't heard elsewhere, seen elsewhere, or in some instances, things that we know at Type 40 simply didn't play out that way. But then again, we do eat, sleep, and drink Doctor Who, and not everybody does, do they? Let's go and see what you've got to say about all of that, about my waltz through the Deadline article. Did any of that make any sense? Results may vary. Okay, so let's see what you've got to say about this. That's quite a lot of comments. Thank you for being so patient. I don't generally read articles on the stream, but I felt that it was the best way to approach it. Stephen O'Neill says they may have upscaled the production, but the main actor's performance as the Doctor went downscale. Well, I prefer Shooty Gatwa to Jodie Whittaker, but there's not much in it. There's not much in it at all. Gary Aker says the BBC and Disney wanting to marvelise Who shows they had no understanding of what the show is. Again, like I said, I mean, I think that's Deadline's language rather than the BBC's. I think expanding the Doctor Who brand in that way, universe building, the Whoniverse, I think it makes sense. I think it works. I think we've seen it work. I think it could have worked again. But they went about it the wrong way and they involved the wrong people. And also that creatively, their big hirings simply weren't up to it. Russell T Davies was not up to the job of running this show anymore. Speculation about the next Doctor in the live chat. DLM says Disney are insisting on 4K upscaling for everything now. I've not heard this. Is this true? Let me know where I can read that. Corvin says in 2006 the expanded universe of Who spin-offs occurred organically on the back of the show being a much bigger hit than Russell T Davies hoped. Yeah, and it was a means to a practical ends as well. They wanted to keep their production team together in between seasons of Doctor Who. They didn't want them going off and getting other work, them not being able to get the same people back for a continuity between seasons of Doctor Who. So if they could guarantee them work in between seasons by simply having them make Torchwood instead, everything made sense. Everything about it made sense. It was very, I wouldn't say it was genius, but it was very effective, very canny. Look where we are now. Funky also says for Disney it was a tiny amount. I mean, even the bigger figures that they're talking about in these articles are nothing like the amount that Disney's invested in other shows. Nothing like. Yeah, Russell T. Yeah, I'm not going to go over Russell T. Davies' various comments about fans. We know what he said, who he said it to, and why. There's no point in going over and over and over things. Stephen Braddock said, and yet Jane Tranter and Russell T. Davies said it was for 5 years. I don't remember them saying that. I couldn't. Yeah, I can't remember that. Stephen O'Neill says, with hindsight, maybe the BBC should have rested Doctor Who after Peter Capaldi left. Well, they did. Do you mean proper rested, as in take it off for years and not bother? Well, at the time, I don't think they saw any need to, because the Peter Capaldi era, yes, Stephen Moffat hung around for longer than he intended to. But the original idea, I believe, was that Capaldi was going to stay and they were simply going to look for somebody else to take the reins. But when the only person that they could find, the only person they wanted was Chris Chibnall. They really courted Chris Chibnall because of the success of Broadchurch. And it was Chibnall's insistence on, when he was free to take the job, because he had one more series of Broadchurch to make, and he was most insistent that he would only take the job if he could cast a woman into the role of the Doctor absolutely immediately. One thing for certain, this wasn't by accident. Their plans failed, but it wasn't a mistake. This wasn't by accident. You can't think that they planned to fail. Come on, let's be reasonable. Look, the series that they want, they made the series of Doctor Who for the most part. They made the seasons of Doctor Who that they wanted to make. They thought that would be enough. So yes, they were mistaken. There was no waiting audience for that version of the show. Every decision that they made editorially drove people away. So I would say that's a massive mistake on their part. But yeah, they were deliberate, creative decisions for the most part. The actual budget should come out sometime, though, because of tax declarations in the UK. If it was the BBC, as was, they would, because it would be public money. Bad Wolf is a private company. So is Disney. BBC Studios is also a commercial organization. We're not going to find out these things. I mean, maybe in 20 years' time, somebody will write a book. But this we won't find out this stuff. This is not 1979 at Television Centre. It's just not the same. Gary Akers says the mouse is gone. Now we need to get rid of the rats. Yeah. Really, I mean, we're talking about international television now, and these budgets and things, they don't really come out. If they don't want stuff to come out, then it doesn't come out. You could get to the point where people move on into other roles or leave the industry and they start talking. But if they're locked into some sort of NDA, how much is it going to matter to them? They tried something, it failed. Stephen O'Neill says it became harder for the British audience to watch it. Never mind the American audiences. Well, it lost the investment. This version of the show didn't please anybody. It drove the audience away in the same way the Whittaker era did. Yes. Funky says the media seems to be out to kick Disney over this. I haven't seen too much media coverage. As I said, I was sent. The deadline piece was published just before the last Type 40 Live last Thursday. I simply didn't have time to read it at the time. And I understand there are some articles out now, but most of them are opinion pieces from what I've seen. And in many respects, people's opinions are perfectly valid. They're of interest, but for the most part, they don't hold any water. Are they out to kick Disney? Within the fan base, I've noticed there's a portion of the fan base who are rallying to defend Russell T Davies and making it out that Disney were the problem. I'm no big fan of Disney, but I put most of this blame on Russell T Davies. Funky says nothing on Disney Plus managed to get into the Nielsen charts from what I've seen, apart from the first episode of The Acolyte. See, I'm not interested in the Nielsen things. I looked at them when Doctor Who was on BBC America and during those seasons, but Disney going out of their way not to publish figures. I mean, they don't want them. They don't want them in circulation. They've got different. There's different goals in the streaming age when things can be watched multiple times for an indefinite period. People's expected outcomes are also going to be different. So I think there's only so much to be put on. I won't call them outdated methods. There's still a value. And as regards Doctor Who in Britain, on the night, overnight ratings still make up the bulk of the viewership. But when it comes to global streaming platforms, they are an entirely different business model, and we can't hold them to the same standards. And sadly, we aren't entitled to know any of this, and we probably never will. And that's just something that we're going to have to live with. Pluto Spirit says, I've had such a terrible week, Dan, and give me some good news. Tell me Russell T Davies is leaving. Well, I told you that a few weeks ago. You want to head over to the playlists and look at our special report a few weeks ago. Russell T Davies is departing as showrunner of Doctor Who. The Christmas 2026 special will be his final shout, if you like. Thank you, everybody. So that was the Deadline article. There, I've been reading it for the first time properly to see what all the fuss was about. And again, my instinct is that the independent media often knows more about these matters, particularly here at Type 40 when we're dedicated to the one show. I think Deadline are behind the curve on this. I think the people, it was right that they speak to Tony Jordan. He's a really nice fella. The DWAS are still important. It's understandable that Deadline and any kind of mainstream outlet would look to people like DWAS for a comment rather than independent sort of content creators or fan site owners or anything like that. But I would say that the Deadline article is for the most part quite sketchy. There are certain passages and sentences in there which I do find interesting, and the phrasing of it too. But does this one article warrant the kind of coverage that it's been getting? Perhaps not. Was Doctor Who, starring Ncuti Gatwa, show run by Russell T Davies, too woke for Disney? That's what I keep coming back to. That's the interesting part. What's changed at Disney? And this is confirmation too of what we've been saying at Type 40 for a long time, in that Doctor Who, for all the surface gloss and that new TARDIS set, Doctor Who looked behind the times. It sounded like an out of touch, tired, ideologically captured old fart. Sad but true. So if you want to read for yourself, read properly without listening to me, head over to Deadline and check out that article there. I'll put the link in the description to this chill stream as well. And let me know, more of your thoughts about the wilderness months, which I think are largely yet to come, aren't they? Another 15 months until the special's actually on. Z3PO has joined us here on YouTube. Doctor Who became too woke for the entire world, not just Trump's USA. Talk about a reach. Yes, that's what I mean. The entire Overton window has shifted noticeably, quite drastically. And the mainstream media are starting to acknowledge it. They are, of course, they're villainizing anybody who's been involved in the push of said window. But then again, they were always going to do that, weren't they? It doesn't mean that it's not a reality. And as I said, Britain is a conservative country, but you'd never know it if you talk to our ruling classes. Somehow this is Trump's fault, PMS. Well, this is why I wonder about Deadline. Are they a partisan outlet as well? I don't know. It wouldn't be fair of me to call that one way or the other, but some of the phrasing, some of the wording, some of the focus there would point in that direction, only softly. Most TV film production swings left. Yes, that's true. Most of the creative industries does. The bad thing about the Disney deal is people using them as a scapegoat for the BBC, points out Fly Highland. The amount of Doctor Who fans I'm seeing blaming Disney for the failure of Russell. Oh, you're seeing that? Yeah, that's the impression that I'm getting as well, that people are just lock stock blaming Disney. And Disney did what Disney do. All that hope from a couple of years ago. Needn't have turned out this way. Needn't have turned out this way. If they'd have cast the Doctor properly, if he'd have... Okay, let's be realistic. If he'd have given it a rest with all the finger wagging, all the ideology, rather than doubling and tripling down on every single woke talking point imaginable, and his own fetishism too. There's a definite, the sexualizing of the show, the lead character, and other component characters, parts, and factors. It's unforgivable. Made him seem like a dirty old man. And I don't want to think that of Russell T Davies, because that reinvention of the show 20 years ago was incredible. Culturally incredible. Incredibly significant to British families. But the split has happened. It's over. It's done just as we told you it was. And have the apologies come our way? I think you probably know the answer to that. So Type 40 said, what? Who? Type what? Jane Tranter is a lying loon, suggests Matt Pott. Good to see you, Matt. I think Jane Tranter was being extremely disingenuous in those remarks a few weeks ago. Just playing out and out silliness. I think you missed an important paragraph, Dan, says Corvin. Well, look, I can't read the entire thing word for word. I picked out the things that were important to me, that resonated with me. So by all means, people want to go and read the entire thing in depth. There'll be a link in the description. I read the things, this is my reading of it with the best will in the world. All this shows, says Gary, is that the franchise can't support years of scrunching and twerking, one after the other. Trying to marvelize Doctor Who was a big mistake. Don't agree. Perfectly feasible. Within relative terms, not to expand it out to 8 movies a year and multiple TV shows, but expanding it to a nest of 3 softly interconnected TV shows, as it was in the noughties. Perfectly feasible. No reason why it couldn't work. They were absolutely hoping for longer. Yeah, they were. They were, Corbin. The fans with the big foreheads loved it, says Matt Pott. Who's that? I don't know. The fans with the big foreheads. Tom doesn't know either. Yeah, the BBC did plan on killing Doctor Who between 87 and 89. No love lost for the show then. Wankle Rotary Engine. Wow. It's watching on YouTube and says they should be going after Bad Wolf for having the deal fall apart so quickly. Questions should be asked about everybody involved. Every factor. Every corner. And it was us, as always in the fan base, that got sucked into it, wasn't it? A folly. Why are fans defending Russell T Davies when he is part of the problems throughout this era of Doctor Who? Because he's still around. And they're still hopeful. Believe it or not, they are trying to remain hopeful that next year's special won't be shit. That's why. And there's also a cult of personality around Russell T Davies, based on a mixture of things. Some people just love the way that he writes and are willing to go wherever his writing takes them. There are people who loved the last couple of years just as much as they love what he did before. There's fewer of them, but they do exist. And other people are happy to go with it because they're invested and they're aligned politically with Russell. So they're willing to make excuses based on those factors. Because, that's what left-wing people tend to do. They stick together and they sing from the same hymn sheet. Even if they don't agree behind closed doors, they will give the impression of allegiance and support. So all those things are happening as well. This will embolden Russell T Davies further. I don't know. I think it's past that point. I mean, as I understand it, Russell is, he's one eye on the door. He's over it. He's done. He's looking to get out there, get, fresh waters and all that. Stephen O'Neill says next year's Christmas special could be Doctor Who's lowest ever ratings and the lowest ever ratings for a Christmas night show ever broadcast on the BBC. A lot can happen in 15 months, mate. They've got a whole Christmas season to get through yet. Look back at the ratings last Christmas. Doctor Who's were low, but wasn't it the third most watched programme on Christmas Day television? Everything's changing. And everything will be down this year as well. I don't know what they've got this year, but they haven't got a Wallace and Gromit, and they haven't got a Gavin and Stacey either. They'll be flapping around, yapping away, hoping that something sticks, like the Muppets that they are. Timing is everything. Okay. This has gone on longer than I thought, but I've never done that before, sort of read an article on here. I know it's sort of stock trade for YouTube. A lot of people have traditionally done that throughout the 20 years that YouTube has been going. So, I've never done that before. Thought I'd give it a try. Why read it alone? So if you like that, you want some more, I may well do it again. I don't know, but I don't feel any wiser myself from having read that Deadline article relatively closely. It's not that I think it's valueless. It's just that, the Doctor Who fan base more attuned and know more. But I think it's important, it's significant that Deadline would run a major piece like that does get reported on by others. It's an article that's going to travel and that people are going to remember, partly because of the language, too woke for Disney. Nobody's going to be forgetting that anytime soon. But in many respects, it's going to confirm to the dedicated fan base, at least anybody paying any real attention, and I know that you have, we have, all it does is confirm the stuff that we already knew. Anything else is speculation on top of that, which for the time being, we're never going to really get any confirmation of one way or the other. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for this. Lee Smith says, I predicted there would be constant leaks from now on a few days ago. I haven't seen any leaks so far. I know that certain forums, shall we say, are full of unsubstantiated total bollocks. It's sincerely barely even worth commenting on. If you enjoy reading that sort of stuff and it doesn't affect your expectations, go and dive in and have a good laugh. Don't take any of it seriously. I wouldn't really take anything seriously It's the other side of February, to tell you the truth. Then we shall see. And when it obviously goes into production, could be a different picture entirely. The problem is Russell T Davies too. There's no one problem, but he shouldn't have come back. I think I think my gloves have been off with Russell T Davies for a long time, so I don't want to go over old ground. You've probably heard me say it over and over and over again. There's no point in me repeating myself, but yeah. Let's have one last scan before it's time for tea. Anyone going out for a meal deal? Off to the Leisure Hive for a meal deal. They're dead. Everything's getting converted now. Look. Oh, I don't know. Disney should demand an audit of where their 100 million went, because it sure didn't look like it on screen. That's Gary Akers. A conversation for another time. I wish we could talk about that here on the Type 40 channel on YouTube and Rumble. For the time being, we simply can't. More speculation about Netflix and Amazon Prime and even Apple. It's only natural. For the time being, the BBC don't seem to have any intention of finding another global streaming platform home. And to be fair to them, there's no rush. 15 months until that special. Quite a long time. There's no rush. And the next series probably won't be until the best part of a year after that. So things may change again. I'm not saying that there won't be another global streaming platform home, but I think as time goes on, it's going to be less and less likely. And the more articles such as deadlines come out, even more so. Even more so. Hey there, says Garbage Who AI. Hello, mate. Good to see you. At Christmas, we'll see a burp for who, says Matt. A bump. But you think its ratings will go up by not being on? Do you think people will miss it this year? The general public will miss it. Where's Doctor Who? They will. Don't know. Let's know what you think. Have your family asked you if there's a Doctor Who Christmas special this year yet? When the campaign starts for the new season, for the Christmas season, and the Christmas radio times, all that kind of thing, do you think people who aren't fans will notice that there's no Doctor Who? I'd be really interested to learn what you could learn between now and then. Corvin asks, where was that Robert Holmes themed pop music from? Now we play that semi-regularly. That was the work of Gareth Roberts on X. So the fantastic writer, Gareth Roberts, a brilliant piece in The Spectator by Gareth last week about the state of Britain. Just makes for superb, right on the button writing. Exactly where the national mindset is at right now here in Britain. Go and follow Gareth over on X. Tell him that Type 40 sent you. Tell him that Dan sent you. That's where to get that. You have Gareth's articles as well as lots of creative projects from him as well. A weekly column where he takes the piss out of elitists in the British media, that kind of thing, as well as little curiosities like that. So yeah, full credit to Gareth Roberts for that brilliant song. Radio Times special out very soon, but I haven't heard of any big shows this year. They've got a new Julia Donaldson animation. I can't remember which book they're adapting. I think it's one of the later ones, but there is a new Julia Donaldson. And there's a couple of specials. I can't quite remember what's coming now. There's another Mark Gatiss ghost story. Do you want to hear it again, Corbin? Corvin, do you want to hear it again? I'll play it again. Okay, yes, so the Deadline article, interesting reading. We live in continually interesting and slightly scary times. Here at Site 40 Live, talking about all things Doctor Who. We like to bring the levity when we can and to stay sort of on the pulse too. So if you want more, you know where to find it. Tom, you tell them. Tell them, Tom. Go tell. Oh, okay. There's a Type 40 podcast across all major podcatchers, as always. Reviews, interviews, geek outs, previews, and deep dives over there. These are just the latest batch of all of that, but there's 160 of those proper high-end podcasts, evergreen content you can listen to over and over again. So yeah, get stuck in over there at type40.podbean.com or all major podcatchers. So we're on Spotify and Audible, Amazon Music, everywhere. Go and find that out and get us in your ears when you're on a run or on the school run for that matter, or you're just washing up, or if the other half has got a film on that you don't like, pop your little earbuds in, can't you, and Bluetooth it on your phone. You could be listening to us while she's watching that or he's watching that, and everybody's happy then, aren't they? Just got a nod every now and again, and they'll never know. Type 40 Live, of course, continues Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook this coming Thursday from 8 p.m. As always, with the Big Who. We'll see you there as ever. Come and join in. Got a fair idea what's cooking, what's going on there, and I know who is on the panel, I think. So it'll all come together nearer the time. 5 years and counting now of Type 40 Live, and lots of ideas for where we can go in the short term and longish term future as we look forward to another 15 months with no Doctor Who on the television, which at the moment seems like a blessed relief. Okay, I think, shall I play that one more time for Corbin? Sorry, Corbin. Here you go. Since you asked so nicely. Bop, 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 bop.
Ba, 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 ba. You were gone before we could tell you you were number one. Number one. Sliding in a cloud of tobacco smoke. Kicks TV with a dirty joke. You called it hope and pulp and fluff, but it rang with the truth of weird stuff. Ba, 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 ba. You were gone. Never gotta tell you you were number one. Number one. You were cranking it out at a rapid pace, but every world felt like a real place. Your brain and your pen might have taken you high, but fate marked you for the cheap sci-fi. Ba, 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 ba. You were gone. Never gotta tell you you were number one. Number one. Ba, 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 ba. You were gone. Never gotta tell you you were number one. Number one. Slapping in a cloud of tobacco smoke. Kick TV with a dirty joke. You called it hope and pulp and fluff, but it rang with the truth of weird stuff. Ba, 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 ba. You were gone. Never gotta tell you you were number one. Number one. Ba, 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 ba. You were gone. Never gotta tell you you were number one. Number one. Number one.
Happy now. What's the time? Time to go, I think. Back off into time and space and time before you get completely sick of me. I think I'm sick of the sound of my own voice now as well. But thanks for that. Thanks for chilling with me for the time being. You'll have to sort the Netflix out for yourself, but we provided the chill. If you're watching this after the fact, join in the comments. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, your opinions about all of that and all of this. And if you'd like some more, stick around. There will be more of this in some form or another. I don't know. Maybe I'll arrive at some sort of name for it, and whatever it is, whatever it's called, we'll just keep on doing it and see what we can dig up on whatever's going on, either in the margins or at the main body of Doctor Who. Don't miss the podcast, the live streams, and more videos and segments here on the channel, YouTube and Rumble, and across all the podcatchers there for the podcast as well. So thank you for your comments and your company, everyone. One last look, see what you've got to say, shall we? Thanks for chilling out. Chilling about with us all, Dan. Oh, it's my pleasure, mate. Thanks for being here. Wasn't that a body double? Asks Wankle Rotary Engine. Do you mean this? I don't know. I don't want to know. The magic behind. Oh, that's Tom in there. I don't. If it wasn't Tom, I don't want to know. My pleasure, Corvin. I am not now and never had been a leader of the Labour Party, insists Corvin. Okay, I think that's all for now. Thank you, everybody. What a live stream. What a chill stream. I'm exhausted, never mind chilled. We're going flying off into the vortex now with this a fabulous bit of fan art there from our friend Dalius. It's been a little while. Go and find Dalius on X and Instagram. Some terrific fan art. Go and check them out and tell them that Dan at Type 40 here sent you to. We always have the time, if you have the space here at Type 40 and Type 40 Live and the Type 40 podcast. But sincerely from me, thank you for chilling out with me on this one. It's been a couple of months. Glad to be back. I'll be back in the swing of it properly soonish. Soon enough. So stay tuned for more. Thank you again, everybody. Catch you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.